All right. So I want to preface this matchup tier list. Okay. Number one, I have only been playing Doc for about 3 weeks now. Okay. This is a matchup tier list about how someone who is new to Dr. Mario feels about the characters I have played against in unranked and ranked. Obviously, since 3 weeks is not a long time, and I can't play very much until I get my Orca because of hand pain and whatnot, which is the whole reason I switched to Dr. Mario in the first place because I just couldn't do space animals anymore. Too much hand pain. Most of this is going to be from my experience and just general vibes because I haven't like played against a lot of Nesses yet, obviously. The only character on in the whole cast I have not played against in unranked or ranked is Game and Watch. So I did watch a video at old. It's like 3 years old now. I figured it would be irrelevant enough, but recent enough to not to be aware of modern tech to kind of get to fill in a little bit of the gaps. I obviously disagree with their list, not because I think I'm right, but because this is how I feel about them currently. And maybe as I get better, I get the Orca, I can practice more. I am going to feel differently about the matchups, but right as of right now, this is how I feel about the matchups. I'm just gonna go through them, starting with the matchups that I think Doc wins outright, and then going all the way up to bad. I do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tiers. Obviously, not the Doc tier. That's 50-50. The middle's 50-50. For the bad tier, it's kind of like, I'm not going to say, oh, it's 35-65 or worse or whatever, but they feel worse than 40-60 right now. And for the easy tier, it's kind of like, it's around the, I could say it's 65, 35 and up, but there are varying degrees within the tier list. The tier lists are ordered right to left. So we're going to start with Roy, as I have played a Roy or two on unranked, never ranked yet. And both times it was kind of like out of the blue, so I didn't really remember the previous time until after I had finished the match. And both times it was the same thing where I'm like, man, I'm getting hit by a lot of stuff, but like we're trading, that's okay, right? And then all of a sudden they just get blown up and they lose. And it kind of was like, man, that felt like difficult at first, or like not difficult, but like I know Roy is not a good character. Obviously Zane has pushed the character really far, but like once I kind of learned their F smash habits, like it was just over all of a sudden. And turns out after I watched the video, and this is probably the most heavily influenced positioning from that video aside from Game & Watch, because like I said, I just haven't gotten to play one. Apparently Roy Dr. Mario is one of the worst matchups in the game. It's like they called it 80-20. Yeah, and they even said like once you got the Roy's F smash timings and habits, it's just over. There's nothing. I will also say that Roy's up smash hit me an awkward amount of times, and so I had to like play around because it's just like a weird hitbox. It's just a weird move. All of Roy's are. But apparently they're like, yeah, just back throw Roy off stage at any percent, back air him once, GG. That's a stock. He can't do anything. Marth with a wet pool noodle can't combo you really. Can't recover against you. I will also say, yo, what's up, Kyoki? I will also say that a part of that, a weird fact about Roy that I found is that like a lot of his moves hit like below the stage. I was getting hit by his forward smash when I was recovering, and it's like weird hitboxes. You just kind of have to get used to it, and once you do, you just blow him up. Next up, I'm not going to talk about these too much because, like I said, I have played these matchups, but it's been like one Bowser, one Pichu, one Kirby, and I think 2 Nesses or something. These characters, they just don't have a neutral against Doc. They don't have the damage to make up for it. They don't have the combo game to make up for it because Doc is a semi-floaty. They get ledge guarded. They get beat in neutral. They don't have priority. They don't have the grab options. Yeah. Nothing much to say about them. I just will say, Bowser's still really tough on Yoshi's, and if you run into a good Bowser, like I have before in the past, and you don't know the matchup, which is pretty understandable, you're about to learn. It's a lot of up out of shield, and a lot of stuff from ledge. And then Pichu and Kirby, just you hit them with a forward air, and they're like dead on most stages. Ness is his forward air. And that's kind of it. Obviously, like, he gets a good down air or back air, he can do some stuff, but like his forward air is the move that you gotta like watch out for necessarily. If you can avoid Ness's forward air like the plague, it seems like you'll be in pretty good shape. All right, moving on to the 60-40 matchups. These matchups are doable for these characters. These characters can 100% beat Dr. Mario, but they are at a disadvantage. The same goes for the matchups I put in 40-60. Same thing. I can 100% win those matchups. I'm not saying they're unwinnable. I am saying I would be at a disadvantage, okay? Zelda. Zelda has back air. Zelda has forward air. Both of those moves, like, beat Doc pretty hard. Outside of that, that's about it. You know, she has a good throw, but not a good grab. Her down smash can, you know, do a couple things. Her neutral B can do stuff against pills, I'm pretty sure. Like, it just doesn't matter, though. At the end of the day, you just play around two moves, forward air and back air, and that's it. That's the entire matchup. You'll be fine. Nothing more really to say about that. If you try to play that matchup too impatiently, I could see you losing it very easily, because her forward air and back air probably do beat most of my moves, if not just outright. Game & Watch is the one character I haven't played against, so this position on the tier list was brought to you by the YouTube video I watched, and I cannot remember who made it, but it's a European doc in the doc Discord talking about it. Yeah, it's not too hard to find on YouTube. Go check it out. Long story short, I think the thing that matters the most about Dr. Mario versus Game & Watch is port priority. For those of you who don't know, if you have a lower port, like your controller is plugged into port 4 and they're plugged into port 2, in the event that both of you grab each other at the same time, the lower port wins the grab. Why did they do this? I have no idea. However, in return, when the lower port throws the higher port has one fewer frames of hit stun from the throw, which doesn't sound like 160. How much can that mean? But when it comes to chain grabs and setups, it actually matters. And in this matchup, what it seems to be is, as Doc, you want to be a higher port. You need Game & Watch to have that one extra frame of hit stun so you can do stuff to him. And that's like the matchup. Everything else about it, it's, hey, Game & Watch is actually a good character if he could properly L cancel, which he can't. And then, you hit him with forward air and he blows up. So, yeah. Space him out. Unlike Zelda, not a lot of his moves don't outright beat yours. Probably his down air versus your up air. But trades are good for you, and you hit him with forward air, and he's gone. Is what I got about the matchup. Young Link. Young Link is annoying, and we're going to talk about it more with Link later in the video. Young Link is just... You got to play it campy, and you got to cape, and then, that's it. That's the matchup. Young Link is going to be significantly lower than his older predecessor, spoilers, because of up B. Link's up B is just so much more of a threat because of Dr. Mario's recovery than Young Link's up B, and it's not very close. He still has pretty decent range. He can still totally win the matchup. It's just kind of a how campy are they willing to play it versus how patient are you and how much do you take advantage of openings. Also, I believe off of the throw game, just vibes, once again, just my opinion, I feel like Doc has more options on Young Link when he throws him at the grab game versus Link. Versus Link, I feel like all of my grab throws are just like down and up throw. Both don't do anything. I can't do much to Link out of it. His moves don't hit as hard. It's just kind of a use cape wisely. Make sure you don't get punished for spamming it, and you'll beat Young Link. All right, moving on to 55-45, where matchups where Doc has a slight advantage. First off, we're talking about Mario. There's not much to say about this. Mario's forward smash is better than Doc's. And there have been so many times you'll hear me say it on stream how I'm like, God, I wish Dr. Mario had Mario's forward smash. Aside from that, that's kind of about it. Maybe you could argue Mario's recovery is better because his cape will stall him out longer. But his cape is worse. His forward air meteor spikes, which would be nice for Doc to have something that meteor spiked, but it's also just very meteor cancelable, and it's worse. he doesn't, his movement, unlike a different Mario brother we'll be talking about shortly, his movement does not outright beat Doc's enough to make up for these insufficiencies in the matchup. Although I do believe Mario's faster than Doc, just in general. But it's not enough. It's not enough to really matter when Doc just has the better aerials. His back air sends out at a better angle. I just wish that Dr. Mario had the same forward smash as Mario. I would have won so many more games on both ranked and unranked if Doc had Mario's forward smash. But I would have, if I was playing Mario, I probably lost for a million other reasons. So Mewtwo is deceptively good. And when I watched, and I thought this, I only had played like one or two Mewtwo's. I don't even know if two. I've definitely played one Mewtwo, and the whole time I'm like, I am better than this Mewtwo, but why is this difficult? Mewtwo is secretly so much better than people give him credit for. Obviously not top tier, not, best character in the game, nothing crazy like that. I'm not here to say that, Mewtwo is the next low tier to make it out, make it out. But 100% people underestimate this character, and they forget that there's a bunch of good players who have Mewtwo, like Leffen and Taj, and they just wreck good players with their Mewtwo. Mewtwo has sauce. It's just a really, really steep uphill battle that he has to climb in order to use that sauce. Unfortunately for him. So Mewtwo, the biggest disadvantage Mewtwo has in this matchup is trades. You want to trade with Mewtwo, you do more damage and you will win in the long run. He cannot combo you like he does most fast fallers. You have some sauce on him and your forward air blows him up. You do have to worry about his up throw and back throw, especially stage dependent, but your cape negates his entire ranged game with his Shadow Ball. And that's big because Mewtwo needs Shadow Ball to space and, and to create threat from across the stage and whatnot. But he doesn't have that against you. He can't do that against you because you just have cape. And your cape is broken. Unlike Mario, your cape is schnasty. So, yeah, you just take that whole option away from him. You do have an advantage. It might be higher than this, but I will say that Mewtwo, a good Mewtwo, could make your life pretty hell. This same goes for Samus. I don't want to disrespect Samus. I was about to put this matchup 50-50, but at the end of the day, if you can cape good enough, her missiles do nothing. Her charge shot is your charge shot. You can actually ledge guard her pretty well in comparison to a lot of the cast, which struggles because of her bombs. Your back air just says, I don't care. It will be a slow matchup. It's going to take forever to kill her because if you're not hitting with forward air, you kind of got to hope that you're better at edge guarding than they are at recovering. And if Samuses know how to do anything, it's recover. That's the matchup, cape. And then make Samus have to use her aerials in a skirmish with you. And you will find that her aerials are pretty decent, but there's a reason that not many people play her and not many people are good with her, save for like Plop and Duck and, the people we all know about. Because they're not good enough. She's very slow, and she heavily relies on setting up stuff and doing chip damage with missiles and charge shot, and she just doesn't have that against you, and she shouldn't have that against you. Don't get grabbed. Moving on to the 50-50s. I think these matchups are even. I would fully expect to lose to someone who is playing these characters of equal skill level or, just as often as I win. And one of these is, once again, like in huge disagreement with the video I watched. I swear to God, this is not a copy-paste, not even close. This is how I feel about it. Luigi. Luigi's at the bottom of this because I feel like what I kind of tried to do is like people who are most close to being down a tier versus people who are most close to being up a tier. But I'm pretty confident that most of these feel like 50-50s to me. Luigi is, and I talked about this with Mario, Luigi has superior movement than you, unlike Mario. And that makes all the difference here. I don't feel like you lose. I don't feel like you win. I feel like a Luigi who can move is going to make this matchup very, very even. The one thing I will say you have on Luigi, which is why he's at the bottom, is if you can cape their side B, especially at like a random misfire, and you get a cape on it, you put them in a terrible position. You have a pretty good ledge guard against Luigi. And Luigi has a pretty good ledge guard against you, but here's the secret. Your recovery sucks. Luigi's, for all intents and purposes, doesn't. So you invalidating his recovery just as hard as he invalidates yours means more for you. It is a 50-50 matchup at the end of the day. I could see it moving down, but there's some Fire Luigis out there. Rat Monster would make this feel pretty miserable, I would feel, because the movement's just really, really good. And especially because of my old man hands and on a GameCube controller that hurts me physically, I can't keep up with the fast Luigis. But I do believe it's 50-50. Link, like Young Link, it's a huge cape game. The difference is Link hurts a lot more when he hits you, and I feel like my grab throw combo game is just really bad for some reason. I don't know what it is. For some strange reason, I have played more Link than against Link in ranked and unranked more than a lot of these other characters combined, and I don't know why. Why do so many people play this character? I find it extremely boring to play against. Link and Young Link are definitely my least favorite matchups so far. They suck, they're boring, and if it's not unranked, I'm just going to run in and I don't care if I win because I just want it to be over. On ranked, I got to play the cape game, and it's... But yeah, his up B makes your life hell for recovering and will send you off at the worst possible angles. His moves actually hurt. His projectiles are quick, like Young Link's, and like I said, you kind of have to space him out, make him approach you. It sucks. But I do think he has some sauce in this matchup, and when he hits you, it's not going to feel good. Pikachu, 50-50 matchup. You both Doc and Pikachu have just terrible, pathetic grabs that should not exist. They should both get buffed. Pikachu can't, cheese you as hard as Pikachu can cheese other characters, but Pikachu can actually have somewhat of a combo game on you, an up smash opener with nairs and up airs. Like, Pikachu has the speed. The Thunder Jolts, are interesting to cape. You can do it, but is it worth it versus just avoiding them? I will say that if Pikachu's trying to recover low, your pill game and your cape game can really make the difference here. I feel like Doc has a pretty decent ledge guard on Pikachu. It's overall, I think, a really pretty even matchup. I don't have much more to say about that. I haven't really played a lot of good Pikachus. No flame. They do try and cheese me, and it doesn't work out very often, which is strange because I have such a terrible recovery. You would think it would work out more often than it does. I just think in neutral, Doc has the sauce to keep up with Pikachu and ledge guards him better than a lot of the cast can. Okay, this is where the the Discord completely disagrees with me. Ganondorf. I find Ganondorf to be a very frustrating matchup. It is just a footsies spacing matchup, but your opponent hits 3 times harder than you do. However, if you get Ganon off stage, it's a slower Falcon that's easier to back air. So that's the entire matchup, and I don't feel like it's good. Apparently, they're saying that, like, on the Discord, they said you need to be all in. You really need to, like, commit against Ganondorf. You cannot be scared. You got to go in there. You got to start hitting him, and you got to start comboing him, and that will make all the difference. So the next time I face a Ganon, I'll try and be a little bit more aggressive and see if that matters. Which I do like about Doc. There are a lot of matchups where they're like, yeah, hang back, throw pills, use cape. But there are a lot of matchups they've talked about where it's like, you got to commit, get in there, start comboing him, be aggressive, and I like that. I like that about the character. So, what's up, Andrew? So yeah, Ganondorf for me right now, from what I feel, it's just like if they have better spacing and they've been playing Ganondorf longer than I've been playing Doc, they probably do with their character. It's rough. It's rough because if they outspace me, I just take way more damage and get put in a terrible position. And they actually have a pretty decent edge guard against me. If I try and go high, they have their pinwheel up air. If I go low, they have stomp and whatnot and back air. So yeah, that matchup probably will get better over time, but right now it feels like a giant footsies matchup that I always just constantly lose, and that is frustrating. Let me tell you, does not feel good to always lose the footsies matchup to someone who does 25 times more damage than you. Doc does really well at the long range and close range. The mid range is where Ganon excels. Yeah, because he can kind of just out just his moves are slightly bigger and slightly more powerful. You kind of gotta commit. You gotta sit back and throw pills, or go in there and really try and And apparently Doc combos Ganon really well. I haven't had that experience, but also most of my Ganon experience was like the first week of playing Doc, where I'm like, this is just a footsies matchup, and he has a bigger foot. Anyhow, moving on to Yoshi. Yoshi, the one thing I will say about the Yoshi matchup is that my back air doesn't break his super armor until like 170, and it's really unfortunate. Mario's breaks it a lot earlier, which sucks. But I think a lot of the things that make Yoshi, and I want to say this, I'm not an expert at Melee. A lot of what makes these lower tiers who have risen in prominence in the competitive scene, like, seem so, how do I put it? Like, these meteoric rise we've seen of Yoshi with Amsa, and then Luigi with Rat Monster, and DK with Junebug and company. A lot of it comes down to, like, they figured out how to take these characters who are presumably not good and beat Fox and Falco. And since most people in tournament play Fox or Falco, they've been shooting up tier lists and stuff. With the long story short is, though, Yoshi, I don't think beats Doc. I think it's a 50-50. Yeah, he might have some sauce against Fox and Falco in the combo game. He doesn't really have that against Doc. Doc doesn't really care about his combo game. An aggressive Doc can really put pressure on him. Doesn't really care that much about his options out of parry, because you can space it with back air. You might not be able to edge guard him just as well, but, like, because he can't combo you, he can't build up that percentage any faster than you can build it up on him. It just doesn't feel bad. And the Discord agrees with me on this one, so we'll have to see how it feels as they get better at Dr. Mario. But all the Yoshis I played against, I'm like, wow, all the way, when I played Falco, I would have to approach this matchup so carefully because of the, double jump armor and the parry stuff. Whereas with Dr. Mario, I don't feel like I have to be nearly as careful, which is just a huge buff. Andrew asks, is Yoshi better now that he's voiced by Donald Glover? Yeah, that's a boost in the tier list. I'll give you that. Up B cancel at ledge is such a funny tool when Yoshi's double jumping back to ledge. Oh, I would imagine, yeah, like, doesn't like the first hit of Doc's up B break his super armor like really early? Yeah, but yeah, my up B also breaks Yoshi out of super armor pretty quickly. It seems like the first hit of it at least. So yeah, you have some sauce against the green dinosaur. Moving on to matchups, I believe Doc slightly loses. Ever so slightly has a disadvantage. The first one I'll talk about, Ice Climbers. This is also a really personal thing. I suck against Ice Climbers. I've never had legitimate, consistent practice against them. All of my characters suck against Ice Climbers. And based on the little I've played against them as Doc and vibes, Doc does not do well against their double shield at all. It feels really, really freaking bad. Separating them, you have to basically get between them and do a down smash. Once that happens, you're like, fine. Like, honestly, you can handle Sopo. It's not the end of the world. But an Ice Climber who's good at shielding, I feel like, makes this matchup really hell. I know the Discord disagrees with me, but like I said, this is also my personal take from my from my only 3 weeks of being a Doc main. This is what I have experienced, and also I'm just really bad against them. So it kind of feels bad to play against them. But they think that this is like an even or winning matchup for Doc. So if I ever get the practice, maybe I'll feel that way too. But right now, it's just like, man, those double shields are... What do I even do? Because I can run up and grab, and then I just get hit out of my grab by the other Ice Climber, and it feels bad. You kind of just have to grab and spam forward throw so they hit each other so you don't get hit out of it. Peach, I believe this matchup could easily be 50-50. I love this matchup. I played it a couple times now, and every time I just really enjoy it. This Falco Peach is my favorite matchup in the game. I just really love playing against Peach. With Doc, I feel like all of the reasons why Peach is slightly higher on the tier list than Doc is the reasons why this is a slightly losing matchup. It's really that simple. She just has, in general, slightly better moves, a better recovery, a better projectile. That's it. I feel like this matchup could be 50-50. But right now, it just feels like whenever I lose to a Peach, it's just like, man, just her moves are a little bit better than mine, a little bit farther reach, a little bit higher priority, a little bit more damage, a little bit more kill potential. She has a little bit better edge guard. I have to hit back airs at very specific points. But you can I've gotten plenty of cheese kills on Peach with Doc, more so than I ever did with any other character I've ever played against Peach. And I think at the end of the day, it's like you got to catch the turnips, which the Doc Discord sounded they're like, oh man, how are you? I mean, like catching turnips is so risky. And it's like, do you guys ever play Project Melee? Catching turnips is not that hard. I do it all the time. Now, hear me out. The guy in the video has played against Triff before. So yeah, maybe Triff's turnips are a little bit harder because, you know, he's the best Peach player in the world currently. But the Peaches I play against, like, they stop pulling turnips because I catch so many of their turnips. I just don't think it's that difficult. And maybe that's why I feel this way about the matchup. But yeah, Peach, not a bad matchup at all. I do think you slightly lose because Peach is just a better character, but it is totally doable. 100% doable. All right, moving on to matchups I believe that I'm at a strong disadvantage in. Still winnable, still doable, but a strong disadvantage, okay? Yeah, and there's a lot. You can chalk this up to me being new to Doc. Let's talk about Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong is weird. Every Donkey Kong I play against in unranked is like downright better than me. Like they would beat my Falco. That's the way it's always been. I have never ran into a Donkey Kong my skill level or worse. They're all better than me, hands down. I'm like, Can someone of equal skill who plays and mains Donkey Kong please play me? I would love to actually feel this matchup from an even standpoint. But no, every single time I play this matchup, the guy is like just a downright better player than me. Anyways, that being said, the Discord thinks this is a winning matchup for Doc. It was 3 years ago that they did the video, so maybe their opinions have changed now that Donkey Kong has solidified himself as just like a real contender. And yes, Donkey Kong rose in prominence because he can beat Fox and Falco with his punish game and whatnot. But, like, Donkey Kong's not actually that bad against a lot of the cast either. So, I don't know how they had this at a 60-40 for Doc. When the one or two DKs I played, who are, once again, both way better than me, made me feel like I wasn't a real character. And at least my Falco could, like, do stuff against him. My Doc could do nothing. And it felt really, really bad. That being said, like, if I was of equal skill to them, maybe this matchup would feel different. But right now, holy hell, it feels so bad. Donkey Kong players are just gassed. Gas, not gassed. Anyhow, moving on to Captain Falcon. This is a weird spot for me to place Captain Falcon in because I have beat, I think, like 80% of the Falcons I played. I played Falcon a good amount in unranked and ranked. And I've beaten about 80% of them. However, the ones who have beat me, I see it. I see the problem. The problem is a good Captain Falcon will grab you or hit you with an opener and you will just explode. And there is nothing you can do about it. If you get him off stage, it's a faster Ganon, but you win. Fair enough. Fine. Your ledge guard against Captain Falcon is abysmal for him. That being said, if he hits you in neutral and he is good, it's over. That stock is forfeit. For some reason, Captain Falcon just combos you ridiculously hard. However, in my experience, this hasn't happened very often. So I'm putting it here based on the few Captain Falcons I've seen that made me feel afraid to exist on the same stage as them. Moving on to Puff, I think this matchup is going to get easier as I get better with Doc. The problem is the few Puffs that I've played against, most of them leave. I don't know what it is with Jigglypuffs, but they don't want to play against Dr. Mario. If anyone could tell me why that is, I would be very, very thankful for the information. Right now, I'm just kind of confused as to why this is the case, but it's happened so often, it's not coincidence. I've had more Puffs leave matches against me than any other character. Probably all the other characters combined. More Puffs leave than, like, Foxes. And Foxes leave all the time if it's not the matchup they want. Foxes are... If you play Fox, good for you. Keep it to yourself. But Puff is... The matchup's just strange because I feel like I actually have a lot of good options against Puff, but at the end of the day, it's just back air is going to make my life really hard. It is a hard move with Puff's good drift to play around. Jabriel says, Doomsday Puff is Doc's worst matchup. The type of Puff who is fine with camping you out for 8 minutes, but I've also had more Puffs instant quit than any other character in the game too. Why? Why don't Puffs want to play us? I don't understand. It makes no sense. Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm getting across, is a Puff who's willing to camp you with back air and just run away. You can't win on Dreamland. Maybe on Yoshi's it doesn't matter, but on Dreamland it's like that's an auto loss. There's nothing you can do. You can't catch. She's fast enough. You can't catch her. Your pills don't have the angles you need. So it's like if Puff actually wants to fight at all, it's actually not that bad of a matchup. But you have to make them want to come to you. So you need to somehow get a percentage lead and then let them know that, like, you can time me out, but you're going to be the one running away. I'm going to be right here, buddy. And you got to just play around that win condition. And that's also what I forgot I was going to say about Peach. Peach really feels like, hey, do you have a stock lead, or, I mean, more likely a percentage lead? Cool, the matchup is exceptionally doable. Once you fall behind and you have to approach, that's when things get difficult. Puff is like that, but as of right now, with my current skill level, which is only 3 weeks, pretty low, and old man hands, it's not, it feels really bad. It feels really, 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 really bad. Moving on to Fox. I can talk about Fox Falco. Currently, I have Falco as a harder matchup than Fox. I don't know if that's the case. I think the biggest deal is Falcos can play aggressively against me because of the mid-range laser game, and it feels bad. Foxes who play aggressively against me, it's kind of like, dude, if I'm on that day, I'm getting grabs, I'm getting out of their crap, I can play the game. And Foxes have to kind of platform camp me for it to feel bad, which they do, even when they're losing. And I don't get it. Someone needs to explain to me. You are not a good enough player. Neither of us are good enough players. Let's make that clear. But you are not a good enough player to platform camp me when you are down a stock. I don't understand. Please stop. It is, do you ever think about having fun while playing video games? Has that thought ever crossed your mind? Falco doesn't have to do that. Falco can actually be aggressive and still make me have a hard time doing anything if their laser game is on point. And I don't feel like I blow up Falco any worse than Fox. I don't feel like I ledge guard him easier than Fox. Falco's side B is oh my gosh, I'm having such a hard time hitting Cape against his side B. I would like to say I never took Falco's side B for granted when I was playing as him and he was my main, but that's not true. I totally did. If you're a Falco main, don't take your side B for granted. That's a great move. What a great recovery. So yeah, I just at this moment, it's like, for me to be miserable against Fox, they have to platform camp me with the lead. Against Falco, it's kind of like they have more options. I do feel like the Discord was right when they were saying if you can get into the mind of the Falco player who's going against you, and you start like understanding their approaches and stuff, like you actually have a bunch of options against him with their timing. It's just that since every Falco and Fox plays a little bit differently, it takes a minute to get there. You have to, it's a rite of passage almost. And they said the worst thing is when a Falco is good enough, they notice this and they change their play style and life becomes hell once again. But as of right now, I'm going to put Falco above Fox. I just feel like Fox doesn't have for a Fox to approach me and make me sweat, they have to be a certain level of better player than me. Whereas Falco doesn't. I think a Falco at my skill level can approach me and I will still have problems. That's why I put them there. All right, these last two matchups, I've just put in bad. I can't convince myself they are much worse than, 35-65, but they feel oh my God, they feel so bad to play against when of equal skill or worse. It makes me feel like I am not a real character. And those two characters, the last two characters, Sheik and Marth. I will say this, the light at the end of the tunnel for Sheik is my grab game on Sheik and my throws and stuff. I can see as I improve as a player and improve as a dock main and improve in terms of I get a new controller that doesn't hurt my hands. I can see me having some sauce against Sheik. However, in the meantime, you have to be able to get the grab. And Sheik has these really cool things called tilts. And all of her tilts beat all of my moves. I am so thoroughly convinced that every single one of Sheik's tilts just invalidates me as a character. I get a knockdown. It's like wake up tilt, and I just lose, and I don't know what to do about it. It's either wake up tilt or wake up spot dodge, and it's like, do I just have to guess? I have no idea. What I want Sheik players to know, I don't want them to know this. What I want Sheik players to know is that you don't have to camp me. As of right now, just run at me and throw out aerials and tilts. I lose. I don't have the movement to beat you. And I would go on to have the assumption that unless you are playing ranked, like above diamond, most docks you run into do not have the skill to beat you. The amount of people who don't understand this and they try to camp me as Sheik and I beat them, and then they switch to like Fox and I beat them harder because their Fox isn't as good, and I think it's currently an easier matchup for me. It's just like, I was playing against this Sheik in ranked, and I beat them game 1, and in game 2, I'm beating them again, and they're realizing they're losing and that I'm not approaching, because it's just like, why would I? And they just decide to run in and start throwing out moves at me, and they win that game. Like, the rest of the game, they just smell blood in the water and just beat the crap out of me. And I'm like, oh, they figured it out. Okay, well, GG's. I'll play games. I'll still try, and they switched to Fox game 3, and I think I beat them. And it was just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Just run at me. It works. I swear. Job Real says, up throw fair at Sheik at 70% is a lifesaver like nothing else, especially when Sheiks aren't playing around the grab as much because they don't realize 70% is a kill off grab on multiple stages. Like I said, I see the light at the end of the tunnel. I don't believe Sheik will stay in this tier because I know from minimal experience that if I do get a grab, I can do stuff. Up throw fair, you have to read the DI or whatever, but yes, cool. Getting the grab has proved to be... I have an easier time grabbing Foxes. I have an easier time grabbing Puffs. I have an easier time grabbing any other character on this list. Grabbing Sheik is just like, how do I get past the tilts is the hard part. I will eventually figure it out. And like I said, I feel like as I play on GameCube controller, it's like my movement is not nearly as good as... I feel like if I were to randomly play Doc 7 years ago with my hands not in pain, my movement then would have just been better than my movement is now, just because I can just do more and I didn't have to worry about it because my hands didn't hurt and weren't tired after 2 hours of playing. That will all be fixed when I get the Orca, hopefully. So stay tuned for that if you want to watch a grown man cry, because it's like I got Alzheimer's and forgot how to play my favorite video game of all time because I've switched to a rectangle controller purely because of hand pain. For all the box haters out there, it's a hand pain issue, okay? I'm not worried about becoming best in the world. I just want to play my favorite game without suffering. And if that's not good enough for you, I don't know. Have a heart, man. Anyhow, moving on. Sheik, I believe Sheik will keep falling down the list as I learn how to get the grab and I learn how to profit off the grab. Marth. The Discord put Sheik at a 50-50 because the people in Discord know how to get grabs on Sheik. I don't. The people in Discord also said Marth isn't as bad as it was once thought. And you can see as, it's unfolding before our eyes, one of the best players to ever touch the sticks is struggling against Luigi right now as Marth. And it's like really good news for Mario Bros players everywhere, right? Mario Bros players are just like, we have something on Marth, let's go. But the reality of the situation is, at my skill level right now, just like Sheik can just run at me and tilt and aerial and my life is hell, Marth can just do... If you are a Marth player and you run into a dock, I need you just to turn into Ossify for that game. Just turn into Ossify. And if you don't know who Ossify is, play a different... What are you doing? He just swings, and that's what you should do too. The Marths that just are like, hey, I'm going to throw out hitboxes and I am never going to stop. Destroy me. I put out a wall of hitboxes that outrange everything I do, and I am going to have a hard time. If you try to play Marth normally, I would say, I have such a better time in the matchup. But the Marths who are just like, I can just fair, nair, down tilt, up tilt, fair, nair. My life is hell. I can't hit them with pills. I can't get in for a grab. I can't trade. I can do nothing. I don't know what the light at the end of the tunnel is for the Marth matchup, because at the end of the day, you could always choose to play like Ossify. And I don't, unlike Sheik, where I will eventually get a grab and I can turn it into something, I don't know how to get through Marth stuff. I will say, in both Sheik and Marth, the matchups, I have a pretty strong ledge guard against both of them. Sniping Sheik before she goes into her up B animation is clutch. And then, of course, forcing her to go above the ledge and then caping her is a completely valid option. Marth, you have Marth killer option. You have the drop back air. You have good stuff. Cape is kind of weird because they can sweet spot and stuff. But yeah, you do have options to ledge guard both of these characters. Jabriel. The light at the end of the tunnel is crouch cancel, shield, and dash dancing around the predictable ranges that Marth has. Yes, however, I would argue that if you play like Ossify, you can. Does the frame data support getting in around those ranges if they can just do it again and again and again and again and again? I don't know. I don't know how quick my reaction time has to be to get through an Ossify like Marth player. I should go to YouTube and see if Ossify has ever played a doc on stream. I can't imagine it ends well, because that play style just, it's not, like I said, when they play the dash dance going for grabs kind of Marth style, this matchup doesn't feel that bad. When they just let it rip constantly, I am just at a loss. And remember, this is my list, my vibes. The Discord disagrees with me. They're better doc players than me by far. But if you are a new Dr. Mario player, I feel like this is what you can kind of expect. This list represents how I have felt about matchups I have played in on ranked and unranked. And yeah, it's overall, as you can see, there are slightly more... is it? I didn't count. Yeah, there's slightly more winning matchups than losing matchups, but obviously the characters towards the top are the more played characters. So most of the time when you're loading into a game as Dr. Mario, you are at a disadvantage. You just know this. I think if I have one criticism for the YouTube video I watched from the Doc Discord, it's that it's so funny. People who play top tiers downplay how good their character is and actually talk about how bad their character is. Stuff. People who play like mid tiers and low tiers, like, completely overestimate their characters. I think there's so much hopium and copium in that video, but they are all better doc players than me. So at the end of the day, you know, it's my word against theirs. But I think that if the matchup chart looked like how they put it, we would see a lot more docs in top 8, but we don't. I think there's a reason for that. I think Dr. Mario is a good character, but he has some rough matchups against the normal top tiers. I do think that I am having a more doomsday approach to it because of how it feels from a new doc player. I do not think that Marth and Sheik will be any worse than 40-60 when, you know, all is said and done and I've been playing doc for a while. But the first 3 weeks, man, I run into a Marth and I'm like, just dash dance. Please tell me they dash dance. And if they start dash dance, I'm like, yes. If they start swinging, I'm like, well, GG's. If the Sheik tries to like camp me and run away, I'm like, cool, we can play this. And if the Sheik runs at me and starts tilting and putting pressure on me from close range, I'm like, wow, this is hell. And it feels worse than Foxes and Falcos. So, you know, at least with Foxes and Falcos, I feel like I get them off stage and cheese them or combo them because they're fast fallers and have a good time with that. Yeah, but Marth and Sheik, currently, I don't have that ability. So this is my Dr. Mario 3 weeks in. I'm not new to Melee. I am new to Doc. My matchup tier list. Let me know what you think. Either in the Twitch chat currently or the YouTube comments. I will be uploading this hopefully soon. If you're a Doc player who knows better than me, yeah, let me know. That's fine. Give me tips, please. I would love tips against Marth and Sheik that aren't like just dash dance out of the range and get in there. It's like, okay, well, that'll come with time, but is there something more tangible I can like hold on to now? Until I get my new controller, I don't know how practical that is with my fatigue and hand pain. But anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe. YouTube, I will see you later. Twitch, we're gonna hop on some ranked.